Now, technology giant Apple has released its worst financial results in more than a decade. It still made a revenue of $43 billion during the second quarter of 2013 and a profit of about $9.5 billion. That's better than analysts expected, probably thanks to strong sales of the iPad and, of course, the ever-famous iPhone. But it still represents the first quarterly drop in profits since 2003. Well, many say it's the death of Steve Jobs 2 years ago and his replacement by the new chief executive Tim Cook that has led to Apple losing some of its shine. Earlier, we spoke to Ed Oswald, a technology writer for Laptop magazine, and he says that Apple has a different way of doing business.
But Chief Executive Tim Cook said he's optimistic about Apple's future. He said the recent decline in the share price has been frustrating for him and his staff, but he added the company's position remains strong. Apple officials said they will share $55 billion in profit with stakeholders through dividends and share buybacks. Investors see this decision as a way to ease tensions over Apple's lackluster performance and falling stock price.
It's the biggest technology company in the world, a corporate phenomenon synonymous with innovation and quality. But for the first time in a decade, Wall Street's sweetheart has announced a drop in quarterly profits. So is Apple's bloom fading?
We haven't seen that next step yet, and usually that's what Apple does, is say, yeah, sure, there's lots of competitors in that old market that we've dominated and perfected, but check out what we're doing here. And I think that's what really is concerning for Apple in this quarter, is we didn't see a new product from them.
Profits in the first 3 months of the year fell by nearly £1.4 billion compared to the same period in 2012. But revenue went up by nearly £3 billion, which means Apple sold more of its products but didn't make as much money from them because of competition from other brands such as Samsung, LG and HTC. At this mobile phone recycling firm in central London, there's always decent demand for iPhones. In some ways, that epitomises Apple's problem. Sales of older iPhone models outstrip the most recent release, the iPhone 5. Consumers want a high-end product, but at a much lower price.
As far as Apple is concerned, because as we've been telling you, last September it was making huge profits quarter after quarter, and consequently its shares rose to make it the most valuable company in the world, the share price soaring to more than $700. And as a consequence, of course, when things go up, everybody says they must come down. And we saw them slump, as you can see, and last week Apple shares went below $400. It's a swift fall since last September because of a lot of concerns about the outlook for the company. So why has the market lost faith? Well, they have lost faith in the idea that Apple can keep growing at such it can keep the momentum going. They will grow, but not at such a fast rate. So if we have a look at the results that came out last night, we can tell you that they showed that the crucial iPhone sales were up something like 35 million to just over 37 million. And also iPad sales also increased by nearly 60%. So this is what they were doing in the quarter of 2012, and that's the increase in the details we got yesterday. And the profits, though, went down from $11 billion last year to just $9.5 billion this time.
Tech giant announced that it would increase its share buyback program by more than $50 billion. It's also raising its quarterly dividend by 15% to $3.05 a share. That news helped to briefly lift Apple stock by over 5% in after-hours trade. It also helped sugarcoat a lackluster earnings report for Apple. The maker of iPhones and iPads reported its first year-over-year profit decline in over a decade. Profit margins are being squeezed as people are opting to buy older versions of the iPhone. And Apple is warning that sales will miss expectations in its current quarter. It's no secret what's slowing growth at a company that was once the darling of Wall Street. Apple sold almost 38 million iPhones in the quarter, but it is facing competition from smartphone competitors like Samsung. And Apple hasn't had a major new product launch since October. Apple assured investors on its conference call that it is hard at work on new products and new product categories, such as the much-rumored Apple TV, but still no word on when those products will be released.
Apple is under increasing pressure from the Android operating system and smartphone rival Samsung. However, iPhones and iPad sales remain strong, but disappointing third-quarter forecasts reflect concerns that Apple is running out of ideas to find the next breakthrough gadget. That's been denied, with Apple claiming to have new hardware-software services in the pipeline.